On this week's episode of the Best of Johnston County Podcast, our guest is Ryan Overcash of Costello Real Estate. We talked to Ryan about his time going to NC State, how he got into real estate, why he got into real estate, and things you can do to make your house more attractive to a buyer if you're thinking of selling in the next 1 to 2 years. So listen in.
Welcome to another episode of Best of Johnston County, brought to you by Breeden Law Office. Our host, Jonathan Breeden, an experienced family lawyer with a deep connection to the community, is ready to take you on a journey through the area that he has called home for over 20 years. Whether it's a deep dive into the love locals have for the county or unraveling the complexities of family law, Best of Johnston County presents an authentic slice of this unique community.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Best of Johnston County Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden, and on today's episode, we have Ryan Overcash, a realtor with Costello Real Estate and the owner of Overcash Realty in South Garner, North Carolina, right here on the Johnston County line. And we're going to talk to him a little bit about his time going to NC State, how he got into real estate, what he's attempting to try to do. He not only does he help buyers and sellers with houses, he also flips houses. We're going to talk a little bit about that and a couple projects he's going to be working on in Selma. And we're going to talk a little bit about mistakes he sees home buyers make. But before we get into that, I'd like to ask you to like, follow, subscribe to this podcast wherever you see it, whether it be on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, TikTok, or any of the other social media channels of the Best Johnston County Podcast. The Best Johnston County Podcast comes out every single Monday and has now for well over 18 months. So go back and listen to some of our previous episodes. We've had the vast majority of the county commissioners. We've had County Manager Rick Hester. We've had Barry Woodard recently, owner of Hometown Realty. We also recently had a lot of great guests. We had the owners of Coffee on Rayford in downtown Selma. A lot of great guests. Magnolia Inn as well, Jordan Robinson. So go back and listen to some of those. If you love Johnston County as much as I do, this is the podcast for you. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I like your Wolfpack hat. We're both NC State graduates. So anyway, state your name and what you do.
I'm Ryan Overcash. I'm a real estate agent here in the Triangle, and I also flip houses. And I actually branch out a good bit of my business throughout North Carolina. I'm originally from Greensboro, but went to NC State, so been here 14 years and really enjoy it. I try to get everyone to move out to the really South Garner, Johnston County area. People my age, plenty to do. It's affordable still, in my opinion, if you compare it to other major cities. And
there's no doubt about that. So you got a biology degree from NC State?
Yeah, so classic 18-year-old story. Had no clue what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to try to go to dental school. Got a human biology degree. Honestly, I don't know if my grades were good enough or if I did enough volunteer work to go to dental school. I never tried, but I ended up getting a master's at NC State as well in biotechnology and worked in pharmaceuticals for 5 years and didn't love the, corporate job life. I ended up getting my real estate license back in 2021, did it part-time for 2 years, and now I've been full-time in real estate for about 3 years.
Okay. And what attracted you to real estate?
Early on, I think as early as 2014, 2015, I got interested in investing side of it. Never really thought I'd be a real estate agent. 2016, I was graduating undergrad that year. I wrote down in my journal I should buy a house every year after graduation. Ended up going to grad school, so that kind of changed that plan a little bit. And then 2020, ended up buying my own house. My agent was a big investor, property manager in the area, and I was like, I talked to her about it. I kind of like the process. I am pretty investing, focused. And she was like, just get your license, see how it plays out. And now I'm here, very deep into it.
Yeah, well, and we had Barry Woodard on just a few weeks ago, owner of Hometown Realty, probably the largest realty group in Johnston County. What is involved? I didn't ask him this, but we've had realtors before. What does it take to get a real estate license?
Oh, nothing. Just kidding.
You got to take a class. How many hours is it?
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, it was a 70-hour course. Don't hold me to that number specifically, but I did it part-time at night for a while. So it did take a good 3 months to go through the course. And then you take a state and national exam where I think you have to get a 75% or higher on it. It's not as easy as you think. And to be honest, you don't use a lot of the stuff you learn in the real estate course. But
Kind of like law school.
the questions on the test are still pretty tough, and they're not as black and white as you would imagine them to be. But I did pass it the first time. So if you study a little bit, you can get your real estate license. That does not mean you're going to be a successful real estate agent.
No, well, I think more than half the real estate license holders in the United States actually sold something last year, right? Is it like 30 or 35%
Yes.
actually sold something?
71% did not sell a single house.
Right. Okay. 71%. Yeah, didn't sell a single house.
And who knows, like, how many of those people are actually trying to? It's kind of one of those businesses where the top 10% of people do all the business. That's probably most industries, to be honest. But
right.
Yeah. It becomes a small circle quickly because really all the big names that you know in the area are doing all of the business.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did you decide to get with Costello? I know they're in Charlotte and Raleigh, and they're kind of all over North Carolina. Why that particular group?
Things kind of happen by chance in life. I take life kind of one day at a time. I have a friend, Ryan Stoneman, who works down in Charlotte with them. And I just kind of asked him some questions about it. And he ended up getting me referred to the office in Raleigh. Like the people, it made sense for me at the time. To be honest, a lot of real estate groups don't want you to start part-time. They want you fully into it. But they were okay with my part-time status, and it worked out pretty well. I actually did a decent amount of work part-time, and I've just stayed with them since. I'm I would say, a loyal person. It's tough to get me to, move on to something else once I've been doing it for 5 years. But I like the group, good people, honest, trustworthy. You don't always get that in real estate. But
Who are they connected to? Usually these real estate groups have, whether it be Real, whether it be EXP, they usually have somebody, one of the national, particularly broker groups, to help them. Are they connected to any of them?
No, actually, Costello is its own company. We have a little over, I think over 300 people in North Carolina, and we have some agents that work, I think, Virginia, South Carolina as well.
Okay.
But we're really focused in North Carolina. And I think that makes it like a unique brand because, you see all these big companies like Real, EXP, Keller Williams, others now, like they're very national. It feels like everyone's working for one of those. But it's a different culture, I think, looking at Costello versus the others. If you want something a little more local, a little more focused on the people, it's a great place to be.
Well, and we're recording this. It may not run for a couple months, but we're recording this in the early part of May of 2026. And Real Group just bought Remax in the last 10 days, which is somewhat seismic in the real estate world to think, that Remax now essentially is not going to exist. It's going to keep its name, but it's going to be under the Real brand.
Right.
It probably has no effect on Costello since you're not part of any of those. But how do you think that, if you have an opinion, how that may affect real estate? Because Remax was one of the biggest national brands there was, and now it's sort of being bought, or it is being bought.
Yeah. I was kind of shocked by that, but I do think it's a trend that's been happening for a bit. And I actually think consolidation is a little bit of a risk in real estate. It's because I think you're going to see more of the big brands start to, group together or, buy each other out at some point. And this isn't, there's different ways to run the real estate business. I do think Remax has probably been more traditional in the past, and, they've been around a long time and done things a certain way. And, Real probably brings kind of a fresh attitude.
Well, technology, I think, is what I read when I was reading the Wall Street Journal about it, was that that maybe Remax got a little behind on the technology, and some of these other groups, it get passes you if you don't move forward.
Right. And myself, like, just being at like the age I am, I'm very tech forward. I am very into like figuring out how to use AI to eliminate some of the more redundant tasks in my business that I don't enjoy doing. Like, I build something new in Claude almost every week now. And it's like, people do go to those large firms for the tech, but me looking at it as a business owner, I'm like, one, I enjoy building the tools, and two, I'm like, I can just build my own tech that works for me. And if it becomes something useful for others, maybe I can, sell it to others or let others use it at some point. But yeah, it's a changing landscape. I'm sure you will see more of those large acquisitions in the next few years.
Right. So I know you've done a lot of work in Riverwood and the Noose and Gun Laurel, around the Noose, all that. What is attractive to home buyers in that, Clayton in general? You've done sold a lot of houses in Clayton. That's how we met. Right. What is attracting people, and, what can sellers do to make their home more attractive?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is affordability. I mean, that it moves the biggest needle for where people want to go in real estate. Another thing, safety and things to do. Like, I generally consider Johnston County a pretty safe place to live. There's plenty to do downtown Clayton. Like, I have people that, have lived a Raleigh, Cary life, go to downtown Clayton on a weekend, and they're shocked how much is going on. They're kind of shocked, I think, that of the demographics that exist of, there's people of all ranges here. There's stuff to do for the younger groups. There's stuff to do for the older groups. It's not like it's not your dying American city of people aging out. It's, growing. There's new businesses coming. There's new people coming. And you just have to accept that more of that's going to happen. But, you can still find good houses in the $300,000 to $400,000 price point. Just last year, I helped a friend that's a dentist buy a house in one of Riverwild communities. And he's, upper 20s, low 30s. And it's like a $330,000 house is achievable for a lot of people.
Right. I guess affordability. And really, we've not seen the appreciation in home values here in Johnston County. Well, we had the COVID stuff, right? When you were getting into real estate and everything went up $150,000 in about 18 months. But it's largely kind of flattened out over the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, there's been some increase, but not a lot.
No, it's very neighborhood and home dependent. If you have the very updated home in the great neighborhood, you've probably still seen some appreciation over the last few years because, to be fair, a lot of people come into the area. That's what they want. I mean, those are the easiest homes to sell. They're going to attract the most buyers, the highest demand, going to sell for the most money. But overall, like, things have been pretty flat. I've talked to quite a few people in this area who bought 2022, 2023. They like their house, but, maybe they're having kids or something's happening life-wise. They're like, oh, we need to move on to the next house or move somewhere else. And I'm like, you're probably not going to make any money on the house right now if you have to sell. And it's been a tough, I get it. That's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of people. They put a lot of money into a house over 4 years and not going to get anything out of it. So that's something that's affecting the area right now. But if you're on the buying side coming to the area, you're like, oh, wait, I have negotiating power. I can, get closing costs paid for, things like that. And personally, I think it's a better time to be buying. If you have a great house, it's probably pretty easy to sell still. But, if your house is more dated or, it's got that early 2000s look to it still, it's tougher to sell. That's just that's just an objective look at it.
Right. No, you're no doubt. And there's a house, that I know of in a neighborhood right here in the 40 Veterans Parkway area that was on the market for 9 months. I talked to the buyer last night. He said, I made the first offer in September and I just waited because I thought the house was overpriced, and they accepted my offer in April. Now, they kept trying to sell it. They kept trying to do, they kept running open houses and all that.
Right.
But eventually, 8 or 9 months later, that seller came back to basically one of the first offers he got last September. And, most buyers, that person already lived here. Most buyers aren't going to wait 8 or 9 months for something to come down. This person was just moving from within the Cleveland School District to another house in the Cleveland School District. They want to stay in the Cleveland School District. But, that just used to not happen. It used to be, 2021, 22, put a house on the market out here, take bids basically for a week, do a bid opening on Saturday afternoon and pick the bid you wanted the most. All were going to be over ask or they weren't going to get it. But those days are gone.
No, and a lot of people still have that expectation because if you think, a lot of people bought their first house 2020 to 2022. So they're like, oh, when I was buying, there was a bidding war. And so
right. I was in a bidding war.
Yeah. So that's their only experience. So now they're on the back end of that. It's like, oh, maybe it's not as hot right now, but we'll get a couple offers the first weekend. I'm like, if we get one offer, I will be ecstatic. And this is a rule of thumb I tell people is usually that first offer is your most serious buyer and the best offer to negotiate with. Because if you let it drag out forever, it's blood in the water in real estate. Like, people are going to be, oh, it's been sitting. We're going to aggressively offer, on the low end for no reason other than it's just been sitting. It could be a great house. That's perception.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Have family law questions? Need guidance to navigate legal challenges? The compassionate team at Breeden Law Office is here to help. Visit us at www.breedenfirm.com for practical advice, resources, or to book a consultation. Remember, when life gets messy, you don't have to face it alone.
So, I mean, if you're looking to sell your house, and interest rates have been over 6%, largely for the last 2 or 3 years, and they used to be 2.5 or 3%.
Right.
And we're not getting into the political debate on that, but they are where they are. So if I was going to sell my house in the next 12 to 18 months, what could I do right now to make it more attractive?
3 simple things I think go a long way. Your curb appeal. First impressions are everything in real estate. When people drive up to the house, they want to kind of feel like, oh, I can see myself living there. The next 2, I would say paint and third floors. If you can check those 3 boxes, those are probably the most cost-efficient way to get the most money out of your house. If you go out and do a giant kitchen renovation, giant master bathroom renovation, you're just not going to get that money back. Yes, the house will sell for more, but you will not get enough to justify what you put into those renovations.
Okay.
So it's really the basics. That's actually a part of my business I'm trying to build out a little more, is like a client comes to me and like, hey, we know our house is dated in these areas. Like, could you help us on the renovation side to get it ready to list on market? And then I list as well, just because from flipping homes, I have good contacts now and can get things done at, I would say, a better price than most people would if they were to go out and do it themselves. So I like to be solutions focused for people. It's a hard business. You're dealing with a lot of emotions, but I try to deliver an outcome at the end of the day that, works for everyone, even if that requires doing something unconventional.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about flipping. I mean, we've all watched the show Flipping Out, and, everybody knows somebody that's trying to do it. Some people do it more successfully than others. How long have you been in that business, and what are you looking to try to do?
So I've been flipping about 2 years, and I know like it has, people think of it 2 ways. They think of it as HGTV, or they think of it as, oh, this person's just putting makeup on the house and selling it. I do think that is what happened from pretty much 2014 to probably 2021, is people were doing the bare minimum to get the house ready to sell and, turn it over to the next person. The game has changed a little bit. You have to put a little more detail into, how you're designing the house, what you're doing, behind the walls and with the mechanicals and everything else. You really have to offer almost a perfect product now to get the most out of the house. And I like doing a lot, and really, I would say from South Lake to Johnston to East Lake, because I think those are still like great price points where you're getting a lot of mix of first-time home buyers and second buyers coming into the market. And I take pride in offering a product that is the best in the neighborhood. I can't make every project exactly what I want to make it, because I would never make money, but I do feel like when I'm done, it is at least one of the best houses in the neighborhood. And I think that's good for everyone that lives there as well.
Right. And I mean, I think you're right. I think it's, sort of a highest and best use. If you've taken a home that is, maybe not been upkept, not been updated, and you come in and you redo the yard and do landscaping and, paint it, maybe update the fixtures or whatever, that's going to make a better home for the neighborhood. Right. It's going to raise its tax value, and it's going to attract a young family probably that may not have come if it was in the condition it was in.
Yeah, I think most of my projects have actually been bought by first-time home buyers, which I really like that, because it's, I feel good about a person coming into their first house being in good shape, and it's a nice house to live in as well. And even, I mean, I know, this area is growing a ton. I get a ton of interest from outside buyers on my projects as well. I just sold one in Smithfield. I think the buyer was from Michigan coming down here. And yeah, it's there's just, I think you're seeing a transition. A lot of the people that are in that side of the business do like take pride in creating a good product for people. Whereas in the past, to be honest, flippers don't have the best reputation. As an agent, I look at the flips a lot of the times, and I'm like, you can just tell when corners were cut or the person doesn't live here and they never even looked at the project. Whereas like I live in the area, I'm at my projects every week. I'm very detail oriented. So for me to feel good about it, things have to be done a certain way.
Well, and I mean, I guess if you're representing a buyer, I mean, can you ask? I mean, it doesn't say this is a flip on the listing, but I mean, you could sort of figure it out.
Yeah, at this point, you can pretty much tell. I mean, things you want to look for, if you're looking at flips, is I like to look at the crawl space. Like, is it in decent condition? Doesn't need to be perfect. Like, I think sometimes people expect a crawl space to be just immaculate. I'm like, it doesn't need to be that. You don't live in that area of the house. But just like the details of tiling and kitchen and paint and floors, like A lot of times you look at trim and it looks terrible. It's like, it looks kind of like they just like threw things together in the house. That can be a sign of like, other things that, didn't get shown much detail to that you can't see. But really, if you have like the main items like plumbing, electrical, HVAC, roof taken care of, and they're in good shape in a house, there's not many other things that can go that wrong.
Right.
The rest of it's just really cosmetic stuff.
Right. Well, and I tell any buyer, I don't care if you're buying, I don't care what you're buying, get a home inspection.
Yeah, 100%.
And we've had home inspectors on this podcast before and talked to them about what they do and what they see. And I mean, that is absolutely crucial, because you don't know what you're looking at if you're not in the business, if you're not a contractor or whatever.
Right.
And those home inspectors are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah, it has made me a much better agent, because now I can walk into a house and be like, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. I really know what to look for pretty quickly. And no resale house is perfect. Even the houses I flip, the buyers do their inspections. There's stuff I have to fix after an inspection. And I gladly do, because I want to have a good reputation. But no house is going to be perfect. I think you even see like the new construction horror stories sometimes.
Right.
Like if you're a buyer buying a house, especially a first time home buyer, you're going to have expenses that come up. You have to prepare for that. I think sometimes people have the expectation they're going to live in a house for 5 years and not have to spend a dime on it. That's just not the case.
No, it's not. It's not. And I've bought a couple of houses in my life, and it is always surprising, what does come up, but some of that's living too. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, and that stuff wears out, stuff has to be replaced. I encourage people to get an HVAC company to come and help them, do routine maintenance and tune up their HVAC, because if you keep care of those things, they don't last as long as they used to, but you can still get 15 years out of some of them.
I've got a good HVAC guy. My system is, I think, 24 years old now. It works fine. I'm not going to say it's the best system ever, but I agree. Like, you take care of stuff, it lasts longer. You save money that way. You don't. Things are going to happen though.
So who is your client avatar? Who are you looking to work with? Who are you working with?
I would say
primarily, everybody sort of has their niche in your industry.
Historically, I was working with first-time home buyers. I think I started when I was 26 or so. So I was at the age where a lot of people were starting to look for the first house, and that they just knew me. I actually ended up working with a lot of pharmaceutical client or coworkers I had, and still do. But now, like, a lot of my friends are starting to get to the kid age, so they're starting to move to the second house, or they're just outgrowing what they currently have, or even still people buying their first house as well. And then I don't know, I guess I like to socialize and network. So I also like just get a lot of like older clients that might not live in the area anymore, or like, oh, they have this family situation happening and they're trying to kind of start offloading some of their houses they have. I tell new people coming into the business, if you want leads, go talk to the older people, because no one's really paying them attention and they're not on social media quite as much as others. And guess who owns all of the real estate in the US? People that are older, to be honest. So, I mean, it's a great way to get leads, and also just they enjoy the conversation.
I got you. Well, how can people reach out to you?
I'm on all the social medias. I think Cash Rules Raleigh on Instagram, Ryan Overcash on Facebook. That's my personal account. I love meeting with business owners, people talking about what I do and sharing my experiences. I'm still learning every day. I'm sure I'll have a different business going in 2 years from now.
I'm sure you will. Well, the last question we ask everybody is, done a lot of work in Johnston County. If you're working in Selma right now, what do you love most about Johnston County?
Oof, it's a good question. I like that the downtown is consolidated and has stuff to do for me. Like, 4042 is one of my favorite beers at Deep River. I've gone to some of the cocktail bars downtown, really good restaurants downtown, Clayton, in my opinion. And you're not paying the big city prices either right now.
That's a good point. Point. Well, we'd like to thank Ryan Overcash with Costello Real Estate and Overcash Real Estate for being our guest on this week's episode of the Best of Johnston County Podcast. If you're interested in buying or selling a home, give him a call, reach out to him. He's got a ton of information. If you got a home you might want to try to flip, he can help you do that as well. As we mentioned earlier, please like, follow, subscribe to this podcast wherever you see it, whether it be on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, LinkedIn, X, or any of the other social media channels, the Best Johnston County Podcast. Also, do us a favor to give us a 5-star review down below and tag us in your Instagram stories, Best of Johnston County. Until next time, I'm your host, Jonathan Breeden.
That's the end of today's episode of Best of Johnston County, a show brought to you by the trusted team at Breeden Law Office. We thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to sharing more interesting facets of this community next week. Every story, every viewpoint adds another thread to the rich tapestry of Johnston County. If the legal aspects highlighted raise some questions, help is just around the corner at www.breedenfirm.com.